Hello there, you beautiful human being, you. I'm Chris from TechSpert, and today we're going to be having a bloody good squint at the fresh new Xiaomi Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus. Bit of a mouthful, exactly what your mum said last night. Now, this phone has not yet launched globally. This is the Chinese model right here, but hopefully Xiaomi should be launching it worldwide in the next sort of month or two. And believe me, it should be worth that wait. Because the Note 13 Pro Plus is packed with absolutely insane specs and features that can take on pretty much any flagship phone out there. Yes, even the iPhone 15 Pro Max. It should hopefully be a lot less burny, in fact. Probably better battery life, and about half the price, if that. So let's whip the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus on out of the box, test out the camera tech, the gaming chops, all that good stuff, and for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! So first up, what's in that box? Well, you got yourself one Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus, a 120 watt power adapter, Chinese naturally as this model came from China, a USB Type-C cable, and oh yes my friends, a bit of rubbery condom case action to keep your fresh new Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus looking pristine. And that is that, so let's get the phone all set up and check it out. So the Redmi Note, great start. The Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus is yet another 6.67 incher, just like the previous generation. So yeah, it's a regular hand filler, but it has lost a wee bit of weight compared with the previous generation, 204 grams versus 210. And also the keen eye will spot that you've got a slightly curved screen at those edges now. That display just dips around the left and the right edges, so you've got practically no bezel action there. That's something that not everyone will be thrilled by. It's a design that was quite popular amongst expensive wallet-draining flagship phones just a year or two ago, and now it seems to have infected mid-range mobiles, for better or worse. Personally, I don't really care as long as it doesn't bulk up the responsiveness of that display when you're clutching the phone quite tight, which thankfully doesn't seem to be the case here on the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus. So yeah, that screen pretty much fills the front end of this Redmi blower, and then of course you just got plastic edges to save a bit of cash. But it's around back where things get proper interesting. See, this smartphone sports what Xiaomi terms a leather style finish. As you can hopefully make out there, you've got kind of a rough texture. It certainly adds a good bit of grip to the phone, but I wouldn't say it feels like leather. It feels more papery, quite similar to the, I believe it was the Realme GT2 Pro, which I actually rather like, probably just because it's a bit different from your standard glass. It certainly won't get all greasy and fingerprinty as you fondle it. I gotta say, I'm not entirely sure on my feelings towards this selection of colours though. You've got kind of a pastel-y purple and blue and green and beige. Kind of feels like someone's just slapped on a few sampler pots of Dulux just to see what works. I mean, it's certainly distinctive in the same way that wearing a trilby makes you distinctive. But colours aside, it's a very smart, neat design, like the way the Redmi branding just tucked away in one of those wee squares there. So it would certainly be great to hear what you guys reckon. Is it a yay or a nay for the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus design? And to be fair, even if it is a nay, you can also grab this phone in white or black if you want something a bit more regular. And the really great news is the Redmi Note, again, what is wrong with my brain? The Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus is a proper hard bugger. You got Gorilla Glass Victus up front, apparently, and that's double protected by a pre-installed screen protector. And then this phone is also IP68 water and dust resistant, which is a feature that you'll find on some mid-range mobiles these days in 2023, but it's still pretty rare. So you can take it to the beach, chuck it in the pool, it's all good. So now let's have a shift onto the software side of things, and running on the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus, as you would expect, is Xiaomi's own MiUI 14. However, as this is a Chinese model, it's a wee bit different from what we get out here in the West. For one, there's no Google apps or services pre-installed. No Gmail, no Google Chrome, no YouTube, boo. And in fact, all of the apps that I've installed on here myself, the likes of Genshin Impact, Netflix, Disney Plus and Deezer, I actually copied these over from my Xiaomi 13T using the makeover app. Hence I've got two TikToks, the regular one and the Chinese one. So I'm not going to bang on about the software in this video because it will be a different experience when it launches out here in good old Blighty. In fact, it might not even be MiUI, it might be the spangly new HyperOS, which of course looks radically different. And these days, Xiaomi seems a lot more committed to offering several years of OS and security update support, so fingers crossed it'll be the same case here on the 13 Pro Plus. And it's also great to see that a lot of mid-range mobiles these days are coming with 256 gigs of storage as standard. That is again the case here. Sadly, sod all support for microSD memory cards though. There's only space in that SIM tray for a pair of SIMs. Something that I'm hoping does change for the global model of this phone is the always on display, because it's not actually always on. You can only have it pop on for 10 seconds when you tap that screen, and then it just buggers right off again. But as you can see there, you've got your usual optical in-display fingerprint sensor to wake this phone up, and so far, touchwood, seems like a reliable one. And a cracking bit of face unlock to back that up. Nice! So now let's have a wee gander at that gorgeous 6.67-inch OLED display. As I mentioned before, it's a proper edge-to-edge effort with just a dinky wee selfie orifice protruding into the action when you go full screen. It's even sharper than the previous generation. You've got a 2712 by 1220 pixel resolution. And as always, that OLED tech is really punchy and poppy. Sharp contrast, you've got those inky blacks, nice crisp clean whites. Full Dolby Vision streaming support as well, which some flagships don't offer. As usual, you can tinker with that colour output so you can get something that's pleasing to your particular peepers. And the brightness maxes out at 1800 nits, so believe me, no issues if the sun is shining. Glaring right off that screen, you'll still be able to see what is going on. And the refresh rate maxes out at 120 Hz. You can basically choose between 60 and 120, otherwise the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus can choose for you based on what you're actually up to. And it's not just slick visuals here on the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus, you've also got a stereo speaker setup, as you'd kind of expect from a mid-range mobile these days, so let's test it out. So let's give the Xiaomi 13T a thorough poke and a prod, and for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! So absolutely no complaints there whatsoever. When you max out that volume, the audio still remains nice and clear, and it's also loud enough to hopefully cut through quite a lot of background noise. Sadly, there's no 3.5mm headphone jack here on the Note 13 Pro Plus. That's something like microSD memory card support you tend to only find on the cheaper Redmis. But there's always Bluetooth, and you do have full Dolby Atmos support on this bad boy as well. Complete with the usual equalizer shenanigans, you can fine-tune and tweak that audio. So now, performance, and the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus is powered by MediaTek's Dimensity 7200 Ultra. That's backed by a hearty 12 gigs of your RAM. And what finer way to test out that performance than with a good bit of Genshin, a game I've literally been playing for years and I still don't know what on earth I'm supposed to be doing. Now, as always with Xiaomi smartphones, you do get a dedicated gaming mode built into MiUI, good old Game Turbo. This offers up a decent selection of tools, including a performance mode, which is definitely the kind of thing you'll need to get on the go for Genshin. You can boost the brightness, you've got do not disturb tools, you can record the action, you've even got a voice changer if that's what you want to do. And I gotta say, the options are kind of wild. I can finally sound all husky and deep, apparently. Otherwise you can go for Shotter, whatever that is, Royal Sister, or Lolita, which is only slightly disturbing. Anyway, getting back on track, the good news is the Genshin Impact played beautifully here on the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus, even with the graphics scaled all the way up to the highest setting. It's pretty rare to see any frame rate stumbles. It was certainly highly playable, highly enjoyable, about as enjoyable as this game can get when you literally are completely clueless. I managed to bash lots of things in the face, which was nice. My own face was also subject to a significant bashing at times. And all the while, thankfully, the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus didn't overheat. You've got a built-in cooling system, and that seems to keep things in check, along with the fact that the Dimensity chipset is quite energy efficient. And also, don't worry about that slight curve to the screen. I found that the screen responsiveness was still absolutely perfect here. Now, one area where the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus hasn't changed up from the previous generation is the battery tech, and that's absolutely fine by me. You've once again got an almighty 5000 mAh capacity cell crammed in there, and that massive capacity plus the energy efficient Dimensity chipset means you should get all day play, no worries, even with plenty of screen on time. Certainly that battery drain seems to be a trickle at best. And what's more, even if you do find that juice is running dry, well, no worries. You've got that 120 watt hypercharge support on here, so you'll get a full charge from a fully drained battery in well under half an hour. We're talking more like 20 to 25 minutes. So basically plug it in, do today's Wordle, and then you're pretty much there. But there is subtle wireless charging support here on the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus, which you will find on some phones around the mid-range price point, but it's still relatively rare. And finally, let's finish this Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus unboxing and hands-on review with a squint at the camera tech. And it looks like very similar camera specs to the previous Note 12 Pro Plus because you've got a 200 megapixel Samsung primary sensor. It's actually the HP3 here in the Note 13 Pro Plus with optical image stabilization, and that's backed by a basic 8 megapixel ultra-wide angle and 2 megapixel macro shooter. Now again, the whole camera app experience might change up for the global version of the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus, but this gives you a general idea of what to expect. You can drag down some camera options like so. It's a very similar setup to what you had on the Xiaomi 13T series. Lots of wee tools and toggles, the likes of the AI camera mode, HDR, you can change up the aspect ratio, etc, etc. And then by swiping left and right, you can dodge through all the different camera modes. You do once again have a dedicated Pro mode on here. Lots of different manual features in here to play around with, although I'm not seeing any way of actually shooting RAW format images. And of course you've got the obligatory portrait mode, you've got a night mode for those long exposure shots, and a full-on 200 megapixel mode as well if you want to shoot an incredibly high resolution image. And here's some sample shots from my first 48 hours with the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus. Seems like a highly capable camera for a mid-ranger. The 9-in-1 pixel bin in it means you get nice bright poppy looking snaps, as long as the lighting isn't too crappy. And that 200 megapixel mode is certainly a great addition if you want to crop into your shot without losing too much detail. Certainly a good alternative to having a basic telephoto lens here. However, the Redmi did struggle with moving subjects at times, even in fairly clear light, and certainly in murkier conditions, some focus fails and general blurriness. And also the portrait mode could on occasion be a bit balky to say the least. And yes, in very low light conditions you do have that dedicated night mode which can help produce quite a bright snap. And then if you want to shoot some home movies, you can do so at up to 4K resolution at either 24 or 30 frames per second, with a respectable bit of stabilization. Again, here's just some quick sample footage that I shot around the old homestead and near the old duck pond. Do love a duck pond. And yes, I do realise that most, if not all of these feathered things are geese. It's called a duck pond still, the sign says duck pond, so don't blame me. And then if you want to shoot yourself some selfies, well, you got 16 megapixels of front-facing selfie cam action. And I will present these shots of me without any real commentary because, frankly, I don't even like looking at pictures of myself. And if you want to shoot video using that front-facing camera, well, that maxes out at Full HD, sadly, no 4K option here. But again, perfectly good for vlogging or a bit of Skyping, zooming, whatever. The audio pickup is nice and clear and the visuals are still reasonably crisp. As you can see, you can even wander about the place and shoot because the stabilization is pretty decent. And there you have it, my lovelies. That in a tasty wee nutshell is the absolutely cracking new Xiaomi Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus, which hopefully should be landing here in Blighty in just another month or two. Fingers crossed when it does hit the UK, it'll come in at a price point of around £500 or under. Certainly some stunning specs packed into this thing, some nice little upgrades versus the previous generation. And then of course that quite interesting, quite distinctive design. So that's what I think. It would be great to hear your thoughts on this blower down below. Are you as excited as I am about it possibly launching globally? Please do poke subscribe, ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech, and have yourselves a ruddy, wonderful rest of the week. Cheers!